What's up, guys, and welcome back to Tina's Garage. In today's video, I'm going to attempt to replace the steering stem bushing on the Scrambler 500, the lower one. Let's get right into it. So I picked up this steering stem bushing from quadlogic. It's actually an aluminum one versus a rubber one, like what's in there now. And it looks like this might be kind of a pain in the ass. We will see. Supposedly, you have to take all this stuff off the steering in order to slide the steering stem up and then be able to put this in. And the old one is riveted in there. But if you look at it, what it's doing right now, see if you can see. It's hard to see on the camera. See it moving around there? It's super loose. The steering wheel here, the handlebars here are just super loose, and it doesn't move the tires at all. And then it's also missing a rubber like washer, so the handlebars come up almost like a 1/4 inch or more. But my parts quad had the rubber washer, so I'm just going to steal it, rob it off of there, and use it for this. But I'm going to attempt to try to replace this thing. And to do that, we're going to have to undo the giant castle nut on the bottom, which should only be hand tight, so it shouldn't be that hard to do. Pull off the tie rods right here from the steering stem, pull those off, and then come up here, and we're going to have to take off the other bushing up here. The connector, the 2 bolts are right there, and then hopefully I can lift it up enough. But I have a feeling I'm going to have to disconnect some of this stuff from the handlebar, maybe even just disconnect the handlebar down here and lift the post up. Maybe that'll work, I don't know. We're going to see, we're going to find out, because I'm tired of this thing having so much slop in the steering. So let's see if this thing works good. I think my first step of what I'm going to do is try to take this cotter pin out of the castle nut, but down below the steering stem. Again, it should be just hand tight. So this cotter pin took absolutely forever and was a pain to get out of here. There's just no room on the front of this, not like the Trailblazer that I have over there, because there isn't a radiator, so this is very difficult to get into this thing. And I didn't feel like taking the radiator all apart, because I just don't want to have to do that. But I finally got this thing out, so hopefully, I haven't even checked yet, this nut is hand tight and I can just unthread it. Okay, it is turning. There's just a bunch of grease and grime built up, so I think it will just come right off. Just have to clear all the grime and stuff off of there. So let me do that, and then I'm going to try to get these tie rods off. So as you can see, there's no rubber gasket, like a rubber bushing in between these 2 washers. They're supposed to be, so it's supposed to be the castle nut, a washer, a piece of rubber, and then another washer, and it stops this thing from going up and down. So now the nut is off. It should be a little bit more free to lift up. Definitely is. Let's get these tie rods off so we can move on to the top. It's like these are 15, so I'm just going to get a wrench or a ratchet up here and a wrench on the bottom here and try to take these off of here. Maybe. Wrong way. Almost need a deep socket. This one barely reaches it. Okay. 1 tie rod is off. May grease that up. It's pretty dry in there. Let's go do the other side. Before I try to get this bushing up here off, I think what I am going to do is take this handlebar off of here, because it's just connected. All these wires are connected to it, so it's going to be a kind of a pain to get this off of here. And it is a 7/16 socket here. So just going to start undoing this thing. Kind of just fell apart after I got the handlebar off. I started unscrewing it, and my little light here, my light bracket, just kind of fell off with it. So I'm just going to kind of let this hang. Actually, I may just undo it. It's probably best if I just undid it. And I can cut this zip tie and then set this off to the side so it doesn't fall and break. But now that that's all off and I can fold this handlebar up over here, I'm going to take off these nut and bolt holding this upper steering stem on, the upper steering stem bushing, and I'll be able to slide the steering stem up and get the bottom bushing out. Okay, looks like these bolts up here holding this upper bushing on are 1/2 inch. So let's just zip these off real quick. They weren't on there very tight. I don't know how tight they're supposed to be, but they weren't on very tight at all. Our stem should be, now this bolt is way tighter. Not sure what just fell, but something fell. Okay, the steering stem should be officially loose. Let's see, it is. Here's the steering stem bushing that was on it. We could take this off before I lose it, because don't want to have to dig for that. There that is. Now this, oh yeah, comes right out. So now the steering stem bushing is out, or steering stem is out of the bushing. We have access to the steering stem bushing down here. Right there. So now it's riveted in. We're gonna have to try to grind those rivets off. I'm not sure how that's gonna work because there's not a lot of room in there. Look at how loose this thing is. Basically, I think the bushing is okay, but the rivets are just completely loose in there. So my plan is to grind those off of there, and then the new kit I have comes with bolts and nuts, so you can get it pretty dang tight. That's the plan. So let me figure out how to get these rivets off, and then we'll move on. That was very difficult. So what I ended up doing, I got a hacksaw, and I was able to get this one almost all the way off with a hacksaw, and then jam this pry bar underneath it and pop the head off. And then I literally did the same thing with the other side, except I couldn't get the hacksaw very far into it, but I just kept hammering it and hammering it with this thing until I was able to pry the head of it off. So now the rivet's off, we are finally free of this bushing. So there you can see. All right, so here's our old system here, and here's the new one. Basically looks exactly the same, except this is just billet aluminum, and it has a little sleeve in the middle here. And then what we will need, which I did forget until just now, is a pair of O-rings. Now the one on the top of the steering stem is still good. The one on the bottom though, that fits in here, was not that great. So I'm hoping I have an O-ring, I have a kit. So let me get that and see if we can find some that fit. If I have some, I'll just use 2 new ones. All right, looks like we do have some. I have this kit over here I got from Home Depot actually. And 2 O-rings look like they fit perfectly. So we're gonna use these, and this new system obviously uses a nut and a bolt, which is really nice. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go over to the quad and slip this in, and hopefully we'll be done soon. Now I'm not sure the best way to do this. These things go in this way, so it's a little loose there. I don't like that, but it is what it is. There's that one. Here's this one. Probably should have made sure that I knew what size this Allen key was before I did this, but oh well. Now we're just gonna try to put this washer on and then put a nut on. Like that. And our bottom O-ring is still there. I'm gonna figure out what size nut this is, and then I'm gonna figure out what size Allen key that is so that I can tighten both of them. And I'm gonna snug these bad boys up tight. The nuts are a 3/8, and I don't know the Allen key yet, so let me put this other nut on here so we can get this side started. This side is not wanting to go on as easy, unfortunately. Okay, there we go. So we're just gonna get a socket and our 3/8 right here, and then hopefully be able to do that. And then we got our Allen key here. Gotta figure out what size it is. Looks like that one. And this is a 3, I guess. It's a metric. Probably isn't metric, but this fits it, so. Okay, that one's tight. It's very hard to work in here. There's hardly any room underneath this thing. If this radiator wasn't here, like if this was the Trailblazer, it would be a lot easier. I want these suckers tight, that is for sure. How tight, I don't know. But this bushing does not move at all. That's what we wanted. So now, the bushing is in there. We have our O-ring on the bottom and our O-ring on the top. I'm gonna clean off this shaft, and then we should be able to slide the shaft in. And then once the shaft is slid in there, and once the shaft is slid in and everything's back together, we will re-grease. Make sure you take this O-ring off of here too as well. And there is a washer up top here, so don't lose that. I just seen that. Okay, let's see if it fits in here. Yowza, yowza, yowza. Ouch. Okay, it fits. We're gonna put our O-ring in. It slipped off here. Like that. And then we're going to put our castle nut with the 2 washers and the rubber bushing that I was missing. So this is the piece I was missing. It's that rubber little piece that goes in between these 2 washers. I'm assuming just gives some vibration dampening and allows the shaft not to move up and down, because my shaft was moving all around whenever I was riding because it was missing this piece. That's like a 1/4 inch. So we should be able to slide these on and then start threading this castle nut on. And again, this castle nut is only hand tight. We don't want this thing super tight. Now what is hand tight? I don't know, but it was loose enough that I could just undo it by my hand, so I'm assuming the same. Man, how far up will this thing thread? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call that good. Now, I'm not gonna use the same cotter pin. That other cotter pin was just kind of destroyed. So I'm gonna go get one. Thankfully, my neighbor has a few. I'm gonna go rob one from him and bring back his hacksaw. All right, got a cotter pin. Should just be able to slide this thing in here. Maybe. Like that. And then I'm just gonna bend it back over like this. Oh, just like that. Now that's good to go. Now we should be able to put our tie rods back in. So maybe that's what it looks like fell earlier. We lost one of these. These go on the bottom? Yeah, I think these go on the bottom. Probably should have paid attention to that. Okay, it's not wanting to go up there. That's always fun. There we go. Get this nut on here. And we can tighten that down later. find this little piece that fell out. Here it is right here. And I'm just gonna put this other one in, and then we'll move on up to the steering. Upper steering bushing is on and tight. I don't know the torque specs for all these things, but hopefully editing me will put them on the screen for you guys. So now we're going to put this steering back on, and at first I'm going to put the light little bracket up here and then the handlebars, and then I'll be able to start screwing them in and tighten them down. All right, the top is on. Now I'm just going to work on tightening these tie rods down here, and then basically we should be done. Hopefully the steering is not super loose. Last step, I'm going to grease this thing up and wait till grease comes out, and I'm gonna wipe all the grease away, and we should be good to go. And then I'm gonna test the steering and see how tight it is. I've just been cleaning up here, so let me grease this. So before, this thing was wiggling everywhere. Boy, look at there. That's a hell of a lot better. No, I mean, very little wiggle, if any at all. And that's mostly just play in the actual steering, the way the steering is. So I'm gonna hook the light back up. That's the last thing to do, put the hood on. I'm gonna take this thing for a spin, and I'll let you guys know if it's any better. Steering is way better, guys. There's no up and down play. There's no side to side play. It doesn't shake near as much now. I'm really happy with how this little modification worked. Instead of using that plastic lower steering bushing, this aluminum one should last a lot longer, especially with those bolts nice and tight like they are. So that's going to be the end of this one. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this helped you out. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or concerns or whatever. Like the video if you want to see more content like this. Consider subscribing. If you want to help support the channel a step further, consider becoming a member. 99 cents a month, early access to my videos, and sometimes I'll post a video for members only. Sometimes I won't. I forget a lot of the time. So anyway, thank you guys. That's how you get that done. That's probably going to be it. I'll have links down below for all this stuff if you are wanting to buy one. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good one. Bye.